So your article in the Wall Street Journal said that the CIA and the State Department have engineered this crisis. Why, and what's in it for them?
The goal is to weaken Russia. If Ukraine is put in the EU, it can be put into NATO. If it's in NATO, the United States can put anti-ballistic missile bases on Ukraine's border with Russia and other military bases, and this then degrades the Russian strategic deterrent and makes it difficult for the Russian government to resist American hegemony.
So now the next question is, what's in it for the EU?
The EU has no choice. The NATO countries are part of Washington's empire. They are no more independent of Washington than the Warsaw Bloc was independent of Moscow.
Yeah, the neo-Nazis have come to power in Kiev. Is that part of the plan? And is that situation out of control?
I'm unsure. Initially, I thought that Washington had simply lost control of their coup, that they had overlooked these elements. But some of my sources maintain that Washington realized that its front men were not strong enough. They were too weak to succeed with the coup, and that it needed an organized armed group. And so these sources tell me that Washington was working with the extreme ultranationalists.
So Obama said in advance that they're going to reject any results of the referendum in Crimea.
Yes. Go ahead and finish it.
President Obama does not want to hear that millions of people living in Crimea think, and at some point, the same point he's talking about democracy, so about democratic efforts. So it's double talk. Is it?
Washington's position is that whatever advances Washington's agenda is legal. Whatever gets in the way of Washington's agenda is illegal, undemocratic, and against human rights.
Why is it that you call the Western media the lie factory?
It's lost its independence. The Western media doesn't have any independence. The media in the United States lost its independence during the Clinton regime, when 5 megacorporations were permitted to concentrate the entire formerly dispersed, formerly independent media into 5 giant corporations. The value of these corporations is their federal broadcast licenses. So if they go against the government's agenda, they may find that their licenses are not renewed, and therefore the value of the company goes to zero. And moreover, the companies are no longer run by journalists. They're run by corporate advertising executives, political operatives, and former government officials. And these people have their eye on advertising revenues and getting along with the government. So this means that the American media functions as a ministry of propaganda for government and for the corporations.
Sanctions, if they are imposed, who in fact will be the loser?
Sanctions are a step toward war. The entire world will be the loser.
This is a yes or no question. Can there be a win-win outcome?
World War III will have no winners.
Is this the beginning of a new Cold War?
The new Cold War began 23 years ago with the collapse of the Soviet Union. And President Reagan's advisors violated every agreement that President Reagan had made with Gorbachev. They took NATO into Eastern Europe to Russia's borders. They broke every arms limitation agreement that Washington had with Moscow. They financed and sponsored color revolutions in former constituent parts of Russia and the Soviet Union, including Georgia, the birthplace of Joseph Stalin. Georgia is now an American puppet state. They're speaking of putting Georgia into NATO, which means more American missile bases on Russia's border. And now they are putting Ukraine, making Ukraine an American puppet state, which means more American missile bases on Russia's border. Washington is confronting Russia with a very stark situation: surrender or war.